I think college students have a very warped sense of what consent means.
I'd be with a group of lads and I'd be looking at them and I'd be like, dear, geez, she's hammered, as like she'd be an easy one.
I didn't realise it was rape, I just had a feeling it was wrong.
We are not clear as a society on what consent looks like.
According to the Union of Students in Ireland, 1 in 6 students has an unwanted sexual experience while in university, and 1 in 12 women experiences rape or attempted rape.
In his house one night was just a normal like any other, and we went to bed, but I wasn't feeling up to it. I really didn't want to do it. I was really tired and I said no, and he just kept pressuring me and then he just did it. He held me down to the bed, he put a pillow over my face and then he did it. I was crying, I was telling him how much it hurt to stop and he didn't. Then it finished and I went into the bathroom, I was crying, bleeding, and I came back into the bedroom. I was so confused as to what had just happened, and he had turned over and he went to sleep.
I was in first year of college and it was a guy I knew for a few months, and we just went out, we were drinking, and he brought me home because I was really drunk and put me to bed, and he just started kind of nudging me and going, oh, here, can we just do this? Can I just put it in your ass? And I didn't know what I just mumbled something. And then he took that as a yes, although I was asleep and really drunk, and he just went for it. And the next thing, I just woke up as he was going at it, like, kind of didn't really have a say in it.
People were phoning in and saying things like, I wasn't raped, but, and when it turned out that in fact a serious sexual assault may have happened. So the lack of understanding by people to whom a violation had occurred, their lack of understanding that they had been assaulted, that they have been raped in some cases, was a matter of huge concern to us. The number of young people contacting the helpline is definitely increasing. And anecdotally, we also are hearing from the people who are taking those calls that there's a kind of an increased level of violence and hurt associated with a lot of the calls that come in here as well.
I've actually talked to a lot of students about this, and they've said to me, in confidence once they start talking, that, things have happened to them, that they didn't want to happen, but they didn't actually have the language to stop it or to talk about it, or they were too embarrassed. This is guys and girls.
I still don't know myself what the definition of consent is. Like, it's kind of hard to define.
I think the line can be blurred.
There's an expectation for most students to kind of gain that college experience.
You go into first year of college, you go out, you go mad, you just have endless sex with everyone because that's what everybody does in college. That's what college is about, even though it isn't.
You're introduced to mystery tours, you're introduced to pub crawls, and it's just so much drink going on. It's kind of like an expectation then, okay, I'm gonna go out and I'm determined I'm gonna have sex with so many girls or so many guys. I'm gonna buy as many drinks as possible, and that girl is my target.
It's actually worrying how common it is going out and getting, touched. You're just in a club and they grab your arse or they grab your boobs and they think that's okay. I was out, I was in really short shorts. I had a guy grab my arse and literally stick his finger up my shorts.
I was at my friend's 21st, we were in his games room and I fell asleep on his shoulder. I was kind of dozing, I wasn't properly asleep, and I heard one of his friends say, oh, you can take her to bed now. And he didn't say rape her, he said take advantage of her, she'll never know. There was maybe 1,500 guys there, nobody called them out on it. If anything, they just laughed and that was it, like it was all just a big joke.
I've been kind of working in nightclubs ever since I was 18 and stuff, and it's always sort of the really drunk guy or the really drunk girl that's been taken advantage of at the end of the night, and you can kind of see it brewing up with lads and stuff looking over throughout the night saying, okay, she's going over for an ex Jaeger. It's kind of nearly expected of you and you don't notice you're doing it. that you're kind of nearly preying on girls.
It's not just guys. I have a friend who got raped. He said to his best friend that this has happened to him, and his best friend was like, "Why are you complaining? You got sex." Like, there is this, just everybody thinks that guys are always up for it.
We should talk.
I want to talk about it.
We need to talk about consent.
I want to get close to you and get all up inside your space. Whoa there, what are you doing? You don't even know this woman.
In response to what has been called lad culture, consent campaigns and workshops have popped up on university campuses across the US and the UK and have recently been introduced in Ireland.
It's important to watch for signs that someone might not be ready to go all the way. This doesn't mean that they don't like you or that they're uptight. Respect their boundaries and don't push them or make them feel bad. That's not going to lead to good sex.
It is equipping them with the tools to confidently, assertively, affirmatively negotiate and communicate consent.
NUI Galway's School of Psychology developed what they call smart consent workshops after a survey found that 80% of students wanted to learn more about sexual consent.
We look at social norms theory, and that's where people can perceive the behaviour of others to be very different to their own, particularly when it comes to risky behaviours and changing their own behaviour to meet this misperceived norm. And that has implications for consent. Silence is not consent, participation is not consent. It's freely given. It can be revoked at any time and is never implied. Somebody cannot give consent when they are incapacitated by drugs or alcohol. It is ongoing. Just because you agree to one behaviour doesn't mean you agree to another. Just because you agree at one time doesn't mean you agree at another. Consent is all of those things, but it's also enthusiastic. Yes, 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 not meh.
That's what sexual consent workshops really tackle, is introducing this idea to young Irish people that you take ownership of what you want to do and how you want to do it and when you want to do it. And that's it.
Everybody, men and women, haven't been taught to be receptive to each other. We haven't been taught to vocalise things. The first time that I ever had any kind of talk about consent was in my third year of university. I think I definitely could have used one before that.
You learn about the actual physical reproductive system rather than the emotional aspect of sex.
Anything around being LGBT was non-existent. It's something that should be done across schools, and this idea that how they feel is wrong is being reinforced by the fact that there's no education for anyone.
One of the challenges in this country is that sex education is delivered as part of a programme in schools, and it is up to each school and the individual teacher to deliver it to their level of comfort. Okay? Now, we don't have that with any other subject on the curriculum. You don't have a maths teacher going, "Never really liked Pythagoras' theorem, I'm not teaching it." That wouldn't be acceptable with any other subject. So why is it acceptable with sex education that teachers can cherry pick?
I'd love to go around to schools and talk about sex, break that stigmatism and just be open and talk about it. I think it'd be great.